Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video on Prize Picks. Today I got plays for college football Saturday. You got a ton of plays to get through, but first up, do me a solid, drop a like on this video. Literally takes 2 seconds, completely free, so go ahead and do that. And now let's move into talking about the winnable. So there's a lot of college football games. We're going to talk about that soon. But first up, I want to get you guys the opportunity to get an extra bonus free play after watching this video. And for every single day after that, I drop free plays in my group every single day. It's winnable.com/bam. The link is up there at the top. And if it's not up there, it's definitely down in the description. And it's completely free to join. You guys just sign up right here. And we can scroll down and check out what was my last free play. I actually dropped a flash discount on Jaylen Brown, and both of these players had over 30 points. We greened out this play with ease. So everybody in the free group ate yesterday. This was on Friday, Halloween night, and we're going to try to do it again on Saturday. So we got World Series Game 7. We've got tons of college football games, of course, as it is always every Saturday. And then we also have 6 games of the NBA, which I do quite like the look of quite a few of them. So we're going to get into all that. And we also are going to have a bonus play on the winnable. Make sure you guys are signed up over there. Now, let's move into talking about the first play of the day. And we'll talk about some other fun stuff later with the VIP and everything else. But we're just going to hop right over to this Nebraska versus USC game. I think this one should be one of the most fun games of the day. Honestly, this is one that I'm going to be 100% tuned into because there's a lot to like here, right? You've got heavy rushing props here for both Emmett Johnson and Miller, of course. Both are at 92.5 and then 97.5. So ridiculously high rushing yard totals. And then, of course, Makai Lemon right here is at 93.5 on the receiving yards. So that's really the headlines of the game. That's what you got to look out for is the running backs, both running backs, and then Makai Lemon through the air. They also have quite a few other solid receiving threats, namely Jacoby Lane, who popped off 111 yards against Notre Dame. But what I'm going to go ahead and target here is just the straight passing yards on Jaden Mayava. This line is a little bit too low. His line was sitting up at 300 in some games this season, and he popped the over, right? That was the game against Illinois. I think his line was close to 290, and he went for 364. So now, for some reason, his line has slowly dropped down to 268. I think this one's way too easy for him. With the offense that USC plays, it's just absolutely gunslinging every single play. They're going to go for a pass, right? And I know the rushing yards prop is really high. It's because he's a solid player, but he's not going to be getting the bulk of that offense. I honestly wouldn't hate taking Miller on the under here and then Mayava on the over because I think they're just going to target the pass a lot more than the run. But the play that I'm going for is Mayava on the over. In addition to that, Nebraska are actually favored in this game. Spread is around 6. So, at the time of recording this video at least, which means USC might play from behind a little bit. And usually that matters a ton because when you play from behind, you are going to be favoring to pass the ball a lot more, right? Because you want the clock to move slower. You really don't want to waste that much time, right? So you pass the ball, you try to get chunk plays. And USC is one of the best teams in the nation at getting chunk plays and through the air. I think Jaden Mayava on the over 268 is too easy, right? The only times when he did not actually hit this was when he was playing Michigan State and he was playing against Michigan. Both of those are actually sneaky good defenses. Well, Michigan State's, I guess, a sneaky good defense. Michigan's just a solid, great defense, right? But then against other teams like Notre Dame and Illinois, who people would consider pretty solid defenses too, he was able to pop them and break them open. And a lot of that has to do with Makai Lemon right here. So I don't hate if you want to take Makai Lemon. Me personally, I don't love trying to predict who is going to get the workload on a team like this, right? Some teams you can figure it out, sometimes you can't really. I like Jaden Mayava on the over. 270 plus yards feels way too easy. But that's just pick number 1. We're going over to the next game now. The one that I'm going to go ahead and target is honestly kind of, I feel like a sad game because this game was supposed to be one of the games of the season, right? But Penn State just haven't kept up, right? And now Drew Allar's injured. This game is not going to be fun, right? But that doesn't mean we can't make money on it. That's all I'm trying to say. That doesn't mean we can't make money on this game. It's going to be Carnell Tate right here. 68.5 receiving yards. It seems to me like Carnell Tate pops off on a ton of these games. And this is it just has that feeling about it, right? Jeremiah Smith is where everybody's going to be going, right? Everybody who is tuned into this game is going to be taking Jeremiah Smith. And I honestly feel like it might be a little bit of a trap. A lot of times when Jeremiah Smith's got the limelight on him, they put so many defenders on this man that they really just leave other guys open. And that sounds crazy to say, and it honestly is crazy to say. You wouldn't see that in something like the NFL. But in college football, you see basically all kind of wacko things every single day. And I think that might actually be the case here with Penn State. They know how solid Jeremiah Smith is. They know the only way we can win this game is by stopping Jeremiah Smith. That's what everybody's trying to say, right? But once again, what happened last year, right? Jeremiah Smith's number 2 option, you guys know his name now, Emeka Egbuka, killing it for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? That was his second option. Carnell Tate is that guy. Carnell Tate's going to be great in the NFL. I'm not going to go out here and say he might be Egbuka level, right? But he's going to be great in the NFL. And people don't realize that because he's been sitting behind a guy like Jeremiah Smith. So everybody wants to come on here, talk about Julian Sain, talk about Jeremiah Smith. Nah, we're going for Carnell Tate. And when it comes to Penn State, I would not touch any of these guys unless you really want to fade their unders. But it seems like these lines are already so low, there might not be enough room to take the under, right? But I'm not trying to take any of these guys on the over because if you guys look at Ohio State, they've just been killing it, right? There's literally no, they might put up another shutout, right? They put up another shutout. If you guys, they held Texas to 1 touchdown, then 0 points, then 9 points, then 6 points, 3 points. Illinois somehow, some way managed to get double-digit points with 16. They still lost the game by 18 points. Then Wisconsin went out there, dropped a goose egg. Penn State might not even get to double digits, right? Only one team has done it on Ohio State this entire season. They just look ridiculous right now, right? So if you're not putting up double-digit points, probably not going to take your over no matter how low the line is, right? But that's enough about that. Let's move into play number 3. We're going over to Baylor. We're going over to Baylor, and I'm trying to see if they've got the lines up that I want right now. You bet they do. You bet they do. So, Josh Cameron's main guy right here. Okay, why do they keep... Also, Ashton Hawkins is a huge guy. Michael Trigg is someone who had a great start to the season, then is starting to fall off a little bit right now, right? So, you really don't know where the yards are going to go on this Baylor team. But one thing that you do know, one thing that I love going for is Bryson Washington to give me a touchdown. That's what I'm going to do. Bryson Washington to give me a touchdown. Right now, they've got his line at 1.5 rushing and receiving. I'm trying to find just the 1 touchdown. Doesn't seem like they have it on PrizePicks, but I'm sure they have it on whatever book you're using. As you guys know, I really just use PrizePicks to click around because I really like the look of it. I think a lot of you guys do too. I don't really place that much on PrizePicks, but Bryson Washington to get a touchdown, I feel like this one's great because this game's going to be a high-scoring game, right? Both of these teams really have the chance to play at a high pace, Baylor especially. And when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of things, Bryson Washington is the guy that they go to, right? There's not really a second running back that they feel super confident giving it to. As you guys can see, this is their second running back. He hasn't scored a touchdown in the last 5 games, right? So it's either going to be through the air, it's going to be Bryson Washington. And with a game like this where Baylor's probably going to score 30-plus points, honestly, I feel really good about Bryson Washington getting to the end zone at least one time. Now, let's move into play number 3 because we're clicking off that game. We're going to SMU versus Miami. So, Miami just got embarrassed on Friday, right? Miami, as you guys know, I'm sure a lot of you guys were tuned into that game. They looked great up till this game against Louisville. Then they came back and they were like, nah, we're still Miami, right? We're still a very solid team. And they showed up against Stanford, right? 42-7, Carson Beck, the decent. Mark Fletcher was the story of the game. 3 touchdowns, 100 yards. Everybody heard about that one. But we're coming back to this game. Now they're playing up against SMU. And what do I think is going to happen? I think it's going to be a good old-fashioned shootout right here. So Miami's going over to Texas to play this game. And the guys that I love are, once again, on the receiving yards area. People have started to realize Malachi Toney is him. This guy is absolutely insane when it comes to yards after the catch. He's probably my favorite player to watch in all of college football. I don't care that Jeremiah Smith's out there. I don't care if whoever else you want to call is the greatest player in college football. Maybe they are, but my favorite to watch, it's Malachi Toney. Because of the way that he moves, because of the way that he manipulates defenses. Just go ahead, pull up some highlights. YouTube him, whatever you want to do. Check out Malachi Toney. But no, there's a lot to get into this game. I'm going to click off some of these other games so that I can really just narrow down this one right here. Yeah. So if we go ahead and check out the receptions prop as well, you got Toney at 5.5. They love targeting this man, but it is a goblin play. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. If you see the longest reception, they don't have Malachi Toney up there. That's where I would like him a lot. I love him at longest reception. But for right now, if we got to take Toney somewhere, we're just going to go ahead and take him. Let me see. Scrolling over here. we're just going to go ahead and take it on the fantasy score because I think he's going to get targets a lot. I think he might get a touchdown here. I think he's going to get quite a few yards. So this is really just an all-around prop for Tony. But once they do drop his longest reception, or like I said, whatever book you have it on, I'm sure they have longest reception up there, just go ahead and take it, right? Because this man, he's too good. And SMU's defense, they're not all that good, right? They're not all that good. So now we're going to keep clicking around because we're not done just yet. NC State versus Georgia Tech. NC State is hosting this game. And Georgia Tech, they look really strong, right? They look really strong, one of the best teams in the country. And Haynes King is the main reason for that, right? Haynes King on the rushing yards has been absolutely dominant. And NC State's defense really is not all that strong, right? NC State's defense, they ain't all that. And their offense is pretty banged up as well, right? So as someone who's an NC State fan, right, as you guys can see, NC State fan right here, I got the shirt on and everything. I don't think NC State's going to cover the spread of 5.5. That's probably going to be one of my smash hit plays for the day is Georgia Tech minus 5.5. I know, betting against one of my favorite teams, I don't care. Georgia Tech are undefeated. They look like a ridiculously strong team right now. And I know our NC State defense better than anybody. It's not all that good this year, right? So we love Georgia Tech a ton in this game. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is take Haynes King. So rushing touchdowns, give me Haynes King. Haynes King has gotten a rushing touchdown in every single game in the last 5. Not to mention 2 against Syracuse in the last game, right? So Haynes King get a rushing touchdown feels like an absolute lock, right? Rushing plus receiving touchdowns, I mean, I don't know. It's basically the same thing, right? So the point is, Haynes King anytime touchdown. I love that play. If you want to take him on rushing yards, you could, but his line is so high, 75.5 is absolutely ridiculous. At that point, I'm wondering if they get deep into this game and they're already up by 20 or 21 points, maybe he's not going to run the ball because that's a good chance of getting injured, right? So with a line that high, he could still have a great game, run for 60 yards, 70 yards, and go under. I'm kind of staying away from that. I love him on the rushing touchdown stuff. But we still got a ton of plays to get into. We're clicking off that game, going into one of the later night games. Well, actually, it's the same time slot, but Tennessee versus Oklahoma in this game, right? So going over the passing yards category, you can see the books know this one's going to be a shootout. Everyone knows this one's going to be a shootout. Joey Aguilar up at 272 because he just popped off for nearly 400 yards against Kentucky just last week, and hopefully you guys tuned into that one. John Mateer has been on the down and down, but he's still been very consistent, sitting at around 200, 250 yards every single game. But what I like even more is, I mean, can we say this man's name anymore? How good was Isaiah Satania last game? 131 yards. Now his line's at 75 against, I don't want to say they're a bad defense, but Tennessee seemed to win a lot more games because of their offense than because of their defense. That's all I'm going to say. Tennessee's defense, especially their passing defense, can get cut up pretty easily. So, Satania looks like a super solid play right here. If you could catch him on the receptions line, I would love that too. Once again, PrizePicks only has it at a demon line for whatever reason. I've got no idea what PrizePicks is on nowadays, but I like Satania. We're just going to pop him in on receiving yards, and you guys can put him in whatever category you want. I love this man to have an absolutely huge game. Fill up the stat sheet. Give me Isaiah Satania in this one. Now, I don't even know that's how you say it, but it just sounds hot when you say it that way. We're moving into play number 5, is it? I've lost count. We've been dropping some absolute heat, and we're going over to the big noon game. Texas, Vanderbilt. So, Vanderbilt, I'm pretty sure Vanderbilt are the favorites in this one. Texas are the home team. Vanderbilt are the better team, right? Let's say it that way. If Vanderbilt, I've got to go check that. If Vanderbilt are not the favorites, we're definitely taking them on the money line. But whatever. Diego Pavia, 172 passing yards. We know this man doesn't pass the ball that much because he doesn't need to. He runs the ball. 50 yards is his prop. Last week, I told y'all, fade this man. Take him on the under. Sent that out to the VIP. We greened. Why was that? Because Missouri defense against quarterbacks was super solid. We knew, they knew, Diego Pavia is going to try to run over all of us. They're not going to let him. That's exactly what happened. They didn't let him. They still had a great game. Vanderbilt still had a great game, but Diego Pavia on the under was a great play. It's not going to happen twice, guys. Texas are not that great of a defense. Everybody loves Texas this season, and because, I guess, just because of the name and because we want Arch Manning to succeed, they're not that great, right? As you guys can see, like in their big games, they've struggled, right? And in their games where they really should clean up, clean house, Kentucky, Mississippi State, they've struggled. They won both of those games in overtime, right? This was probably the only big game, I guess you could say, that they played well in. And still, it was John Mateer, and the reason they won that was because he threw 3 picks, right? That's not going to happen multiple times. Texas is one of those teams. It's hard to predict, right? It's hard to predict, but I don't think they're going to have a great game here against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt are the 9th ranked team in the country, right? And as you guys can see, they still had a great game here against Missouri, even though Diego Pavia only rushed 8 times for 20 yards, right? I think he's going to reinstate him being an absolute force in this offense, in this game, and I think he's going to do well. 50.5 rushing yards. That's too low. But we got one more play in college football before we head off to the other sports, because, guys, we're not done just yet. We are not done just yet. Passing yards, Darian Mensah. I mean, this line is super high, 272, but I mean, I like it, right? What am I going to say? I like this even more. Cooper Barcate could have 100 yards in this game, and nobody would bat an eye. He could have 100 yards, and Darian Mensah could end with 270. So that's exactly what I'm trying to paint the picture for you guys, right? Duke has a great game passing the ball against a Clemson team that is just super sorry now. Duke has a great game passing the ball. Darian Mensah gets 270 yards, right? Fabulous game. But he misses his line. So we're not taking Darian Mensah. We're taking his number one guy, Cooper Barcate, on the over at 70 yards. Okay, it's maxing me out at 6 picks. I don't care, guys. I'm trying to give you guys as much sauce as I can. Cooper Barcate, 69.5 receiving yards. Love this play, right? Absolutely love this play. Clemson defense is terrible. Clemson as a whole team is terrible. I can't believe people were predicting this team to win the national championship. Just look at them now, right? I think they have a losing record, 3-4, something like that. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But that's enough about that for college football. Like I said, we're not done just yet. We got a few more plays. We're going over to the NBA because we're going to this Magic versus Wizards game. I had a play that I already picked out. Where is my man Alex Sarr? Alex Sarr on the rebounds. This one feels like, I mean, we could take this one every single time and nobody would bat an eye. Alex Sarr on the rebounds. 7.5 is his line right now. Take him at 6.5, 5.5 if you want a parlay piece. Take him at 7.5 if you want just a straight bucket, right? But another player that I feel like has been having a huge impact that has not been getting the love he deserved is Wendell Carter, right? Putback guy, it just says it right there, right? Wendell Carter is the glue of this team, right? People want to talk about Desmond Bane. He's great. People want to talk about Franz, about Paolo, how he should be an MVP. Or not MVP. He could be an MVP, how he should be an all-star, right? I mean, Wendell Carter Jr., if you watch the games, he's a lot of times the glue that puts this team together. So, I like him on the rebounds to have a huge impact in this game. Washington Wizards have allowed the 4th most rebounds to the opposing team, which means they're not a great rebounding team. But I know Alex Sarr is, so I take him on rebounds. I fade the rest of the team, and I take Wendell Carter on the opposite side. So those are a couple of my favorite plays in the NBA. But I'm hopping over to that last game right here. Seems like we've got, where's he at? Where is my man at? Cade Cunningham. 25.5 is his line on Sleeper and Underdog PrizePicks. Seems like there's not a lot left up there, but I'm probably just going to wait and see for this one. I thought the line would be a little bit lower. I think the line might actually move down as the day goes because right now only 3 books have the lineup. If you can get them at 25 plus or so, I do like that on the points. But now let's go ahead and talk about the MLB because we're not done just yet. I feel like I've talked about that. I feel like I've said that so much. There's just so much to talk about on Saturday, guys. There's absolutely a ridiculous amount. So I'm pulling up Novig right here. This is one of my favorite books for just getting the best lines. Now, you got the spread at 1.5. You got the total at 8.5. Very high total. And then you got the Dodgers money line at -140 and the Blue Jays at +130. Where are we going for this game? We're going over to the... a lot of people are not going to like this. We're going to the under. 8.5 on the under. Don't really like this as of right now. I might flip-flop around, but I think the value we're getting right now, right after the first game, right after the game 6 wrapped up, the value we're getting on the under 8.5 is huge. Everybody is placing in their plays. They want this to be a game 7 huge game. World Series, tons of runs, right? The value we're getting at 8.5 is just a huge value play. I think that throughout the day, throughout the Saturday, the lines and the odds are going to start shifting down to the point where it's actually a more profitable play to take the over, and we will be probably hedging that if that line movement does happen. But what I'm saying is, as of right now, if you can get the line at this great, -128 for 8.5 is absolutely insane. So that's what I'm taking. That's where my mind is at. That's my favorite play on the board for the MLB, NBA, and college football. Tons going on. Like I said at the beginning of the video, sign up on the Winnable free group. And if you want a free week of VIP, those of y'all at the very end, I'm hooking you guys up free of charge an entire week on the VIP. I appreciate you watching to the end. Text me at this number. Text me the word VIP. And yeah, that's all I got for the video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Let's make some money on Saturday.